Hi, this is Diane from the Chattanooga Public Library. You know those little songs, if you have little children, that you sing or you hear other parents sing? Oh, it's time to clean up, isn't it fun? There's a lot of different versions, but I'm telling you, it may not be fun to clean up, but the result afterwards is great. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Doesn't this look all lush and grown and things are blooming? Well, the problem with it is that some of the things aren't blooming so well now, like these purple coneflowers. They look kind of empty of blooms. It's time to cut them down to probably about 4 to 6 inches, and they'll have plenty of time to bloom again. Along this path, which I've decided the next time I make a path, I'm going to make it twice as wide, because I tend to feel sorry for a little teeny tiny little Irish poet tassel flower that started out about that big, and now you can see how large it's grown. And it's time for Ginger, our non-cat, to have dinner, so he's complaining. I've got a few other things along here growing into the path, and that's fine if it's on only one side, but on both sides, oh my goodness, we don't want to disturb a butterfly bush or a butterfly plant. That's good for the butterflies. However, if you can't walk down the path, or you have things that are falling over onto your other plants, it is definitely time to clean up. So you just trim things up a bit, take care of dead blossoms. It's not the end of the season. You're not ready to leave them for birds and other things to eat. Prop them up with a bamboo stick or something if you need to, and just clean up a little bit. Right over here I have some lamb's ear that started off as 3 small plants. Now there are some new varieties that don't do this. You want to make sure you cut the old blooms down. Bees love them, but once they're finished they look sloppy and they're kind of stickery. This has taken over the world over here. Luckily my mom, who has a farm, is interested in some of this, so I'm going to dig some of it up and free part of the garden from that. Rose bush needs to be trimmed a little bit, fed. It's just a little bit sloppy looking there. We'll trim that up. The 4 o'clocks are going crazy. That's just great. And right over here you have a few irises that are looking sad. The old leaves need to be pulled out. Maybe refresh the mulch. Another thing you can do this time of the year when it's cleanup time. I'm going to walk past the beautyberry bush and the very, very loud air system. Here in the back, I am refreshing the mulch and expanding a little bit because it's much easier to spread my cardboard and my sawdust than it is to pull lots of weeds. So here, the beds are doing mostly all right. Got a couple of problems here. Here is one of those dwarf marigolds, so large that it's blocking the path now. Doesn't have very many flowers on it, and I'm probably just going to pull it out. First I'll cut the blossoms and make a bouquet, but it's not really doing its job here. And then right in this bed, this looked great probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. This was one of my heirloom tomato plants, I think probably the yellow queen or the golden queen, which for the past 3 years it's given me 3 or 4 tomatoes that look like that. Not very big at all, just a tiny little thing. I wasn't very impressed with it. But this year, oh my goodness, we got dozens of beautiful, delicious tomatoes off of it. Heirloom tomatoes sometimes don't fight the diseases and things and the insects that hybrids do. And I'll confess, I cheat. I love heirlooms, but I have at least one hybrid variety in my tomato patch to make sure I'll have tomatoes in case I only get a few. So in this case, I'm probably just going to take the whole thing out. I've got a couple of other tomato plants that are a foot or 2 tall that are ready to take its place, and there's still room for large tomatoes to grow. So I'm going to take care of that. Right over here, I had the same thing happening with my Swiss chard patch. It was so huge and overwhelming, I didn't have room to plant my melons after the peas were done. So now it's a little bit more manageable, and I'm going to make sure that I keep it cut and eaten instead of waiting for it to get big enough and then taking over the world. So yeah, there are some of the other tomatoes, hybrid tomatoes, that are doing really well. They'll continue to produce until it gets pretty cold. Tomatoes don't really like really hot weather. They enjoy 75 to 85 the best. Then right over here, I have the same thing going on again. I decided to plant some okra in here. This is a bed that was kind of a problem. It gets no morning sun at all because of trees and buildings, but in the afternoon it gets the brutal, brutal sun. So I threw some okra in here, a few flower seeds, and decided to see what would happen. Well, the okra is starting to produce. It's a variety called rainbow okra, so you get some short, little fat, tasty green okra, and over here some beautiful burgundy okra that do turn green when you cook them, but they still taste great. Love to just put them in the oven with some olive oil, salt and pepper, and just roast them or bake them. But again, here, this is another one of those dwarf marigolds. This one comes up almost to my waist. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to save some of the seeds. I'm going to pick the flowers and make a nice bouquet. But I'm going to pull those puppies right on out so the okra plants behind them will get some of the sun when there's sun in the afternoon. So this is the time of year. It's hot, it's swampy, there's mosquitoes, there's weeds, but the garden is still going strong. Just remember to feed things, make sure they get enough water, pull out the stuff that's not doing well anymore and plant something else in there. There's plenty of things you can start planting now for the fall. You might wait for some of the things like spinach, lettuces. It's still a little bit hot for them, but you can certainly start the plants inside and get them ready to stick in your garden. If they're in kind of a shaded area, they'll do really well. So refresh your mulch, take out the stuff that used to give you 10 tomatoes every few days, and now there's just one sad one left. Save the seeds if you like. Get your garden ready for fall, but still enjoy. Have a great day, have fun, and yes, I know it's not that fun to clean up, but the end result is worth it. Be safe, have a great day, and see you next time.